So what is the name of this, what are we doing now?
An asparagus tart.
Okay.
Okay, for the asparagus tart, I'm going to make a base. Navy beans, using Great Northern, but a white bean. It's almost like a hummus. And it's going to use some cashews, and the cashews is going to be a 1/4 cup of raw cashews, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of water. I'm going to put in about a handful of fresh basil, some sea salt. I'll put it all into the food processor and blend it up, and that will be my base. So first I'll put down the puff pastry, and then this will go in, and then the asparagus is going to be kind of smushed into this paste, this bean paste.
We'll see that, won't we?
Yes, you will. I put in the beans. I put in cashews. I'm going to do just a squirt. Lovely.
Basil.
I'm going to put in a little bit more basil. Just do a little bit of zest, maybe about 1/2 teaspoon, just to give it a nice lemony flavor in our bean paste. Just kind of like a white bean hummus we're making to set the asparagus in.
How much zest?
Like about that much zest.
Oh, it's okay, okay.
Just a little bit.
And now you're going to put juice in it.
That's right. I'm going to juice 1/2 a lemon. It's a seedy lemon.
Sometimes you feel like a seed.
Sometimes you don't. This is the bean paste that's going to go in the asparagus tart. And I'm now adding the lemon juice that actually has the zest in it too. Pouring that in. Okay, here's 2 tablespoons of water. There you go. That's going in. So here's half, like a heaping half
Of?
sea salt, Celtic sea salt. I did 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 1/4 cup of raw cashews, and a bunch of basil, probably like a small handful of fresh basil. And I'm going to blend it all up into a nice bean paste, and that's going to coat our puff pastry, and then the asparagus will go in.
And there's a can of beans in there.
Yes, it's a can of white beans.
Organic.
Using the food processor to blend it all together. The important part is to taste it and see if you like what it's tasting like. And if you aren't crazy about it, adjust the ingredients. Very nice. I'm just going to let it blend further. I realize that the cashews have not blended fully in it. It needs to be smooth, and also you got to imagine what this would taste like with asparagus to when you're tasting it to see what works with it. And I think this is really nice. It's lemony, it's subtle, it's lemony and salty, and with a creamy base. I think it'll be delicious with the asparagus. What I did was covered a cookie sheet with aluminum foil, and then I placed parchment inside it, and I'm showing the score so I know where my boundaries are for the puff pastry. Take this out of the sheet, and I'm going to roll out my puff pastry to be within this boundary. Puff pastry, we're using this brand, but it's whatever you're finding
We've
in
never
the freezer
tried it.
section.
Right.
Pastry dough is what this is.
You were trying to find a gluten-free version, but it didn't happen.
So, and actually this is not a vegan version. There's plenty of recipes online if you want to find a vegan version. But this is what we found, and I really didn't have the time to make it from scratch for this particular recipe. But you certainly can use this recipe with finding a gluten-free version. Okay, so I'm rolling out the puff pastry onto my parchment paper, wax paper. Smush it in. I guess I'm going to need a rolling pin for this, but I'm just trying to get it to be within my boundaries here. Remember the boundary here. I'm rolling to make sure it's within. Okay, I'm going to start layering my bean paste. as my bottom layer of the puff pastry. Try to spread it evenly once you get everything out of the food processor. And I think this is supposed to have a rustic vibe to it, so don't worry about everything having to be so perfect with this. So this is a really nice appetizer for Christmas parties. We're making it for Easter, but this is a really simple, easy appetizer that's a real crowd pleaser.
Where's the crowd? I want to please them.
So with the asparagus, what you want to do is see how long it has to be, where you're keeping it within the bean paste. So it's about here, and I just snipped off one, and this will be my guide. But I'll keep checking it throughout too.
That's good.
You're going to alternate how you're laying them out into the bean paste. So again, just see about how far it needs to go. Snip it. And lay it in. And try to keep them as close together as possible, but because they're a little bent. And look how pretty that's looking, right?
Like head to toe, yeah.
Head to toe, that's right.
Asparagus 69.
You can call this that. Why did you keep that on there? That's funny.
Yeah, and here we are.
Doing
Asparagus 69. Head to toe. Looks cool.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like a pizza.
Awesome.
It's like an asparagus pizza. Oh, that's it.
That is it. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So one package of asparagus is enough. Because I don't have a whisk brush, I'm just using a paper towel to dab.
But you should use a brush.
If you have a brush, just go ahead and brush this with olive oil. And then you can add some pepper, fresh ground pepper to the top.
And that's basically...
Then we're going to slide it onto the cookie sheet and put in the oven for about a half an hour. Fresh ground pepper. Slide this onto the cookie sheet.
Voila.
Voila. So it's going in, and it gives us a good time to check the other things where I think the carrots look done, so we'll sample this. 25-30 minutes.
The puff pastry looks
Cool,
kind of nice,
right?
yeah. With the asparagus.
Puff pastry is coming out. That looks gorgeous. Smells gorgeous. If you could only smell this.
Mmm.
Look how absolutely beautiful this is. Wow. Wipe this out. Oh, it smells so good. Wow. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm going to cut it in half this way. Do 3. 4 seems about right. Ooh, Bugsy's making lots of noise because he's smelling the food. He's getting demanding. The ends are probably what people would want.
Bugsy's waiting for this food, and he's very demanding.
What?
Very demanding dog.
You can cut them again this way if you want it more appetizer. size.
But we keep them like this because I want them in my belly. I want them in my belly.
They smell so good. I can't even begin to tell you. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Gonna dig in?
I'm digging in to the asparagus puff pastry tart. It is beyond delicious. It is out of this world.
So no more cutting.
I mean, I'm just picking it up.
Forget the fork. It's like a pizza. Okay.
Really
Just dig in.
unbelievable. Just
Dig in. Dig in. Let's see you dig in.
It's a great combination of flavors and textures and everything. It's perfect and wow. This is a wow.
Now you cut them into smaller squares, they look better.
Yeah, I think this is, then I kind of set up a little pattern, like alternating the direction.
That looks good.
So I think that's
good
kind
for
of a
parties.
nice way to display it.